You know that feeling when you find something that doesn't belong, something so ordinary looking that it screams to be noticed? I'm Elena Vance. Until last month, I thought my biggest problem was my apartment's leaking ceiling. Then I found my grandfather's old bank passbook, and my whole world turned upside down. Let me set the scene. My grandfather, Arthur Vance, passed away at 87, quiet man, accountant for 45 years, lived in the same farmhouse my whole life, wraparound porch, fields that went on forever. The kind of place that smelled like old books and pipe tobacco, even though he quit smoking decades ago. The funeral was efficient. My mother Clara believes emotions are messy, unnecessary. The service was 30 minutes. The reception, 45. Potato salad that tasted like regret. My brother Marcus showed up late in a suit that probably cost more than my 6 months' rent. He spent most of the time checking his phone, probably monitoring his stocks. Marcus loves talking about his investments. I stood there, watching my family perform grief, like bad actors in a community theater production. And I thought about Arthur. My grandfather taught me chess when I was 8, on that same porch with lemonade sweating in the summer heat. He'd say, "Elena, chess isn't about capturing pieces. It's about patience, about setting traps your opponent doesn't see coming until it's too late." His favorite saying? Truth is patient. It can wait longer than any lie. I never understood what he meant, not then. 2 weeks before he died, I visited him. He was weak, his body failing, but his eyes, they were sharp, alert. He grabbed my hand with surprising strength and whispered, "The passbook." In my study, the chess book. "Only you, Elena, promise me." I promised. I didn't understand, but I promised. After the funeral, everyone gathered at the farmhouse. Clara was already talking about selling the property, calculating square footage. Marcus nodded along. They'd clearly discussed this while Grandpa was still breathing. I slipped away to his study. That room smelled like him. Old paper and memories. I found the chess book immediately. Endgame Mastery, Chess Strategies. We'd studied it together for years. I pulled it off the shelf. It felt wrong, too heavy. I opened it. The pages were hollowed out. Inside was an old leather passbook.
Worn edges.
The kind banks haven't used since the 1960s. I brought it to the living room. Maybe there was a few $100s in some forgotten account. A sentimental discovery. That was my first mistake. Clara saw it before I could speak. Her reaction was instant, violent. She crossed the room in 3 strides, snatched it from my hands, and threw it straight into the kitchen trash. "This is garbage," she said, her voice ice. "Old accounts that don't exist anymore. This should have stayed buried with him." Marcus laughed from the couch. "Always the sentimental one, aren't you, Elena?" They exchanged a look, brief, almost invisible, but I saw it. I've worked as a legal assistant for 7 years. I know that look. It's the look people share when they're hiding something, when someone's getting too close to a truth they want buried. That night I couldn't sleep. If the passbook was worthless, why was she angry? Why not just dismissive? Why throw it away like it was evidence? And I kept hearing my grandfather's voice. "Only you, Elena." Arthur Vance was an accountant for 45 years. He didn't make mistakes with documents. He didn't hide things without reason. And people only react with anger when they're afraid. At 5 a.m. I made a decision. I was going back to that farmhouse. That passbook was still in the trash, and I was going to find out why my mother wanted it buried so badly. The drive to the farmhouse took 2 hours in the gray morning light. No radio, just my thoughts. My grandfather was a strategist, a chess player who could see 10 moves ahead. He didn't hide things randomly. And my mother didn't throw things away with that much rage unless she was terrified of what they contained. I arrived as the sun was rising, purple and gold over the fields. No cars, no one around, perfect. I used the spare key Grandpa kept under the 3rd porch step. The house was silent, holding its breath. I went straight to the kitchen. There I was, a grown woman with a college degree, elbow deep in garbage at 5:30 a.m. My grandfather would have been proud. My therapist would have had questions. The passbook was near the bottom under coffee grounds and funeral napkins. I pulled it out, wiped it clean, and examined it properly. The leather looked decades old, but when I opened it, the account number was wrong. Too many digits, too modern. Then I found it, tucked into the spine, a tiny folded note in my grandfather's handwriting. Account NUR 88563301. They don't know about this one. Ask for full transaction history. Trust no one in the family. Only you, Elena. I read it 3 times. They don't know. meaning Clara, meaning Marcus. My grandfather had hidden something from his own family, and he trusted only me to find it. I took photos, uploaded them to cloud storage. Working at a law firm teaches you documents can disappear. Digital copies are forever. The first call came at 10 a.m. Clara, voice sweet, fake concerned. Just checking on you, sweetie. Hard day yesterday. I waited. You didn't take anything from the farmhouse, did you? Everything belongs to the estate now. I lied smoothly. Just Grandpa's chess book. Full memories. A pause. I could almost hear her calculating. Good, that's fine. But Elena, some things are better left alone. Your grandfather wasn't himself at the end. His mind was going. I said nothing, but inside I was screaming. 2 weeks ago, my grandfather looked me in the eyes and gave me specific instructions. That wasn't confusion. That was clarity. The second call came at 7 p.m. Marcus, who hadn't called me in 6 months. Hey, Elena, Mom mentioned you've been asking about Grandpa's stuff. Just making sure you're okay. I'm fine. You know he didn't have much, right? The farmhouse, some old furniture. Mom's handling the sale. I'll deal with the property. You don't need to worry about any of it. And there it was. Clara gets the money. Marcus gets the property. Elena gets nothing. His parting words, just let it go. It's not worth the fight. After I hung up, I realized the timing. Clara called at 10 a.m. Marcus called at 7 p.m. 9 hours apart. Like they were coordinating, checking what I knew, aligning their stories. They were scared. The next morning, I took a personal day. Drove 2 hours to Heritage Trust Bank in Riverside. Small town, one traffic light. A diner that probably hadn't changed its coffee since the 80s. I walked in with the passbook, my ID, Grandpa's death certificate. The young teller smiled politely, typed the account number. Her smile faded. 1 moment, please. She made a phone call, whispered. 20 minutes passed. I sat in the lobby, started feeling foolish. Maybe Clara was right. Maybe this was nothing. Then a man in an expensive suit appeared. Benjamin Reed, regional manager. His hand shook slightly as he took the passbook. Miss Vance, he said carefully, this account is flagged in our system. My stomach dropped. Not because of you, he continued, because of its history. He explained. The account wasn't from the 1960s. It was opened in 2012. My grandfather used the vintage cover to disguise it. It was a high-yield savings account, untouched for 12 years. He wrote a number on paper, slid it across the desk. 263,719. I made a sound between a gasp and a choke. The manager offered me water. I needed whiskey. My grandfather, who wore the same 3 sweaters for 20 years, had nearly $2.5 million hidden where no one could find it. But Benjamin Reed wasn't celebrating. There's more, he said. In 2016, someone tried to access this account. They had power of attorney documents. Arthur Vance's signature, but our system flagged inconsistencies. The access was denied. Who? I asked, already knowing. He checked his notes. Clara Vance. My mother, she tried to steal this money 8 years ago. She failed, but she tried. Benjamin made more calls. More people arrived. Security, legal. They pulled records. The picture that emerged was chilling. Arthur Vance had money, an inheritance from his parents, carefully invested. By 2011, when Clara became his caretaker, he had over $1 million across various accounts. Clara found them. From 2012 to 2016, she drained them, transfer by transfer, withdrawal by withdrawal, using forged signatures, fake documents. She stole over $1.3 million from my grandfather, but Arthur was an accountant. He noticed. He couldn't stop her legally. She'd convinced the courts. He was mentally incompetent. He couldn't go to the police. No one believed the confused old man. So he did the only thing he could. He hid what was left. In 2012, he secretly opened this account, transferred what remained, told no one. This account was his lifeboat, his final chess move against the woman stealing his life. Benjamin looked at me with something like respect. There's one more thing, he said. In 2020, your grandfather filed a formal complaint with our fraud department. He claimed his daughter-in-law was stealing from him, but without the original passbook, without proof. We couldn't proceed. He held up the passbook. Your grandfather was trying to prove he was being robbed, and you just brought us the evidence he couldn't provide while he was alive. I sat there holding my grandfather's secret, and I finally understood. Arthur hadn't given up. He spent 8 years building a case, preparing evidence, waiting, and he left the key with the one person he trusted to finish it. Me. Benjamin reached for his phone. "Miss Vance," he said, his voice grave, "I need to contact our security division and law enforcement. This is evidence of serious financial crimes." I nodded. I came here expecting maybe a few $100s. Instead, I found $2.4 million and proof my mother was a thief. And somewhere, I was absolutely certain my grandfather was smiling. The police arrived at the bank within 2 hours. 2 detectives from the Financial Crimes Division. The lead detective was Sophia Reyes, mid-40s, sharp, eyes that missed nothing. Elder financial abuse, she told me. One of the ugliest crimes, because the victims trust their abusers. They love them. And when they speak up, nobody believes them. She looked at the passbook in my hands. Your grandfather fought back the only way he could. With evidence, with patience, the investigation moved fast. Benjamin provided the bank's records. The 2016 access attempt was fully documented. Forged signatures, fraudulent power of attorney, security flags, all preserved digitally. But that was just the beginning. 3 days later, I got a call that changed everything. The voice was old but steady. "Elena Vance? This is Mr. Harrison. I was your grandfather's attorney and his friend for 40 years. He paused. He gave me specific instructions. If he died, I was to contact you. Only you, no one else in the family. I drove to his office that afternoon. Small practice. Wooden bookshelves. The smell of old paper. Arthur and I played chess for 40 years, Mr. Harrison said. He was the most methodical man I ever knew. When he came to me in 2021 and told me what was happening, I believed him immediately. Because Arthur didn't make accusations lightly. He placed a thick folder on the desk. Your grandfather spent 3 years building this. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside, copies of forged documents beside Arthur's real signature. Bank statements with unauthorized transactions circled in red. A handwritten log detailing every suspicious withdrawal. Dates, amounts, account numbers. 3 years of meticulous documentation. And at the bottom, a notarized sworn statement from 2022. I read it slowly. My grandfather's voice filled my head with every word. He described everything. How Clara took control of his finances after his son died. How she convinced doctors he had dementia when he didn't. How she isolated him, controlled his calls, his visitors. How she stole from him systematically while playing the devoted caretaker. His final words hit me like a physical blow. I am of sound mind. I know exactly what is happening to me. I am leaving this evidence for my granddaughter, Elena, because she is the only one who will do what is right. She has always asked the questions others were afraid to ask. I trust her to finish what I could not. I cried in that office, not from sadness, from something fiercer, something like pride mixed with grief. My grandfather spent his final years fighting a battle no one knew about, and he trusted me to win it. Detective Reyes called the next day with more news, and this time it wasn't about Clara. We've been tracing the money, she said, where the stolen funds went after they left your grandfather's accounts. And we found something interesting about your brother, Marcus. Golden child Marcus with his expensive suits and smug superiority. He didn't just receive money from your mother, Reyes continued. He created a shell company, Apex Ventures LLC, registered under his middle name. Over $500,000 was laundered through that company over 4 years. My brother wasn't an innocent beneficiary. He was an active participant. The brother who told me to let it go. The brother who laughed at my sentimentality. He helped steal from our grandfather and built his lifestyle on stolen money. His house, his car, his investments, all funded by theft. But the revelations weren't finished. Reyes's team ran background checks, standard procedure, and they found something in Clara's past that explained everything. In 2003, Clara's own mother died. The woman had around $250,000 in savings. When the estate was settled, almost nothing remained. Other relatives suspected something, but couldn't prove it. The money had vanished. My mother had done this before, to her own mother. 20 years before she did it to Arthur. My grandfather had known. That's why he never trusted her. That's why he was so careful. He'd seen her pattern. He knew what she was capable of. Detective Reyes asked me to cooperate fully, which meant keep quiet. Don't warn Clara. Don't confront Marcus. Pretend everything was normal while they built the case. 2 weeks of lies, 2 weeks of sitting across from thieves at family dinners. Sunday dinner at Clara's house was torture. Her dried chicken, her calculated smiles. Marcus talking about a new investment opportunity. They were so confident, so sure they'd gotten away with it. After dinner, Clara pulled me aside, her voice soft, manipulative. I know we don't always agree, Elena, but we're family. Your grandfather would want us to stick together. I kept my face neutral. Of course, Mom, family first. Every time she called to complain about trivial things, I wanted to scream, but I waited. I documented. I trusted the process. My grandfather taught me chess when I was 8. His favorite lesson? The best move isn't always the obvious one. Sometimes you sacrifice a piece to win the game. He sacrificed his final years setting this trap. He knew he wouldn't see it spring, but he knew I would. The call came on a Thursday morning. Detective Reyes, calm and professional. Elena, we're executing the warrants today. Arrests will be simultaneous. I thought you'd want to know. I thanked her, hung up, sat in silence. Clara was about to lose everything. Marcus was about to learn that betrayal has a price. And Arthur's patience was finally paying off. The arrests happened at 7 a.m. Coordinated. No warning. Clara answered her door in her bathrobe, coffee in hand. She saw the badges, the uniforms. For just a moment, her mask slipped. I imagined she looked like a woman watching her life collapse in slow motion. Reyes presented the warrant. Read the charges. Fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse, theft. Clara tried one last manipulation. This is a mistake. My father-in-law was mentally unwell. I was trying to protect him. Reyes wasn't impressed. Ma'am, we have 3 years of documented evidence. A notarized statement from your father-in-law, bank records of your attempted access to an account you didn't know existed, and a paper trail showing exactly where the money went. This isn't a mistake. This is consequences. Clara was handcuffed, walked to the police car. No screaming, no drama, just the quiet death of a 15-year lie. Across town, Marcus was in his office. In a meeting with clients when officers walked in, I heard he went completely pale, tried to mention his lawyer, tried to explain. He was cuffed in front of his colleagues. His reputation died in that moment. You don't recover from being arrested for money, laundering in your own conference room. The case moved through the courts over the next 6 months. I attended some hearings, watched the evidence pile up, watched Clara's confidence crumble as the prosecution's case unfolded. Her lawyer tried everything, claimed Arthur was mentally incompetent, claimed his statement was invalid. The prosecution brought in doctors who had examined my grandfather. All 3 testified Arthur Vance showed no signs of dementia. He was sharp, coherent, aware. The incompetency ruling had been based on false information provided by Clara herself. The judge was not sympathetic. Marcus's lawyer came to me privately with an offer. Marcus would testify against Clara in exchange for a reduced sentence. He was manipulated, the lawyer said. He didn't know the full scope. I thought about it for 3 seconds. Tell my brother that our grandfather taught me chess. And in chess, you don't negotiate with pawns. It didn't matter anyway. The prosecutors weren't interested. The shell company proved Marcus wasn't a passive recipient. He'd created corporate structures to hide stolen money. He'd signed documents, made transfers. He knew exactly what he was doing. No deal, full charges. The sentencing hearing was on a cold February morning. Wood-paneled courtroom, American flag behind the judge's bench. Before sentencing, the prosecutor asked to present a victim statement. From Arthur. The courtroom went silent as she read his words aloud. My daughter-in-law stole my money and my dignity. She convinced the world I was losing my mind while she emptied my life savings. No one believed me, but I am not confused. I know exactly what was done to me, and I am leaving a record so that one day the truth will come out. I watched Clara's face. She stared straight ahead, expressionless, but her hands shook. Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. He looked smaller, diminished. The successful brother who always looked down on me was gone. In his place, a man who bet everything on a lie and lost. The judge delivered the sentences. Clara Vance, 8 years in federal prison, no early parole, full restitution ordered. Everything she owned would be liquidated. Marcus Vance, 4 years in federal prison, felony conviction for life, asset forfeiture. I sat there feeling something unexpected. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just completion, like finishing a book you've waited years to read. After the hearing, Detective Reyes found me. Your grandfather would be proud, she said. He fought for years. You finished it? I thanked her. Walked out into the cold February air. Later, Marcus's lawyer called again. Would you consider visiting your brother? He wants to apologize, explain. I said, I'll think about it. It's been 8 months. I'm still thinking. Some apologies come too late to matter. But my grandfather had one more surprise. Mr. Harrison called me 2 days later. Arthur left something else for you. One final item. Come to my office when you're ready. One more move from beyond the grave. I visited his office. Sun was bright. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Mr. Harrison had tea ready, and one envelope on his desk. My name in Arthur's handwriting. He wanted you to read this when everything was resolved, Mr. Harrison said, when you could appreciate what it meant. But first, he explained the legal outcome. The $2.4 million in the hidden account was now mine. Arthur's will named me sole beneficiary. Clara and Marcus were specifically excluded, with documentation explaining why. Restitution process had begun. Farmhouse sale proceeds would come to me. Total inheritance, approximately $2.8 million. I nodded. The money felt abstract. What I really wanted was in that envelope. I opened it carefully. 2 pages, front and back, Arthur's handwriting, dated 1 month before his death. My dearest Elena, if you're reading this, you found the passbook. You followed the trail. You did what I knew you would do. I want you to understand why I chose you. Marcus was always his mother's son. I watched him learn her values. Take shortcuts. Believe ends justify means. I hoped he'd change, but hope is not a strategy. Your mother never loved me. She loved what I represented, security, resources she could control. When your father died, she saw an opportunity. An old man with money and no one to protect him. She thought I was an easy target. She was wrong. I knew what she was doing almost from the beginning. I'm an accountant, Elena, 45 years tracking numbers, finding discrepancies. Did she really think I wouldn't notice my own money disappearing? But I was trapped. She had legal authority. She convinced everyone I was losing my mind. Every time I tried to fight, she tightened her grip. So I did what I do best. I documented. I prepared. I waited. The truth is patient, Elena. It can wait longer than any lie. I hid what I could, built the evidence, left instructions with Mr. Harrison, and I trusted you to finish what I started. You were always different. You visited because you wanted to, not because you expected something. You played chess for the game, not for inheritance. You asked questions that made your mother uncomfortable. That's why I chose you, because I knew when you found the passbook, you wouldn't stop until you found the truth. And I knew when you found the truth, you would do what was right. I'm sorry for the burden I've left you. Sorry you have to expose your own family. I know it won't be easy. There will be pain, but I also know you're strong enough to carry it. Live well, Elena. Use the money for something that matters. Build something that lasts. Be happy. I spent my last years fighting a battle I couldn't win, but I made sure you would win it for me. Thank you for being the granddaughter I always hoped for. With all my love, Grandpa Arthur. I let the tears come, not sad tears, healing tears. My grandfather had seen me, really seen me. In a family where I always felt like an outsider, he recognized something true in me, and he trusted me with the most important thing he had left. Not just money, justice. That was 8 months ago. I quit my job, paid off all debts, bought a small building downtown, narrow storefront, big windows, good light. I opened a bookstore. Comfortable chairs, smell of coffee, shelves full of stories waiting to be discovered. I named it Chapter and Verse. Arthur would have loved the pun. In the back corner, a chess table, 2 chairs, board set up and ready. Sometimes customers play. Sometimes I join them. Above the table hangs a framed photo of my grandfather, and next to it, in a simple wooden frame, his favorite saying, "The truth is patient. It can wait longer than any lie." Clara writes letters from prison sometimes. Long letters full of blame, excuses, demands for forgiveness. She says I betrayed the family, says I ruined everything, says I owe her. I don't respond. Some doors once closed should stay closed. Marcus's wife divorced him. His friends disappeared. When he gets out, he'll have a felony record and nothing to show for his success. The people who had everything because they stole it now have nothing. And me? I have a bookstore. I have peace. I have the knowledge that my grandfather spent his final years fighting for justice, and I was the one who delivered it. Sometimes, late at night when the store is closed, I sit at that chess table, move the pieces, and I can almost hear his voice. Good move, Elena. The game is over, and for the first time in my life, I've won.